So now open this up in Excel. So you should have already gotten the Dropbox link and downloaded the Excel file. If you don't have Excel, open it up in Google Sheets. You need to follow along. If you don't follow along and do this with me, it's not going to hit home and you're not going to learn it. So the only way to do this is to have the Excel spreadsheet open and work the problem with me. So the first thing we're going to learn is Vlookup. So you're going to click here. It's going to take you to tab 2. So Vlookup example. Purpose is to find an item in a list and then return an attribute. Okay, so you have a list. So what I've given you here is some example information. It's not always going to be this easy. Okay, so I deal with files that have thousands and thousands of employees. This is literally, I can count it here, down here, 14 items. This is 14 items with one attribute. This is a very simple list because I need to teach you it. But understand, if you got in a huge Excel file with 10,000 lines, this still works, okay? So first thing is I want to see if a word exists in this list. So type your word in this yellow box. So I see this original list here. I'm going to type in something like lamp, okay? So now I want to see if that lamp exists in this list. So what I'm going to do is type in equal sign, okay? So that's how we start all formulas. Vlookup, open parentheses. It's telling me what value do you want to look up? I want to look up lamp. What table do you want to look it up in? Okay, so in this table, I'm going to select this entire table. Now I want to say, what column do you want to bring in? I want to bring in column 1. So this is column 1 here, or row B. Column 2 is row C, column C. So I want to bring in column 1, and range lookup, I'm going to put false. I always use false because I want to find an exact match, okay? So I would recommend always typing in false and then hitting enter. And what you can find is that lamp does exist. So let's say I change this lamp, and this is what we call a dynamic formula. Let's say I change this to cat. Does cat exist? Not available, it does not work. But let's say I type in fridge. Is that available? Yes, that formula works. So that is a simple Vlookup formula. I'm going to delete this again, and I want to retype it with you so it hits home. So let's do this formula again. I want to find the word fridge in this list, okay? I want to see if it exists. Equal sign, Vlookup. Look up what value. This value is what I want to look up. In what table? Select my table here, okay? What column do I want to pull? I want to pull column 1. In range lookup, always false, because I want to find an exact match. Hit enter, and you can find fridge again. So here's another variation of that, okay? So this is a dynamic formula. I want to do one variation on this. Vlookup, same exact thing, equal to Vlookup, but I'm going to type it in here. If you're typing in a word, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to teach you that when you type in a word, you have to use the quotation marks. Type in fridge. In what table? We select that same exact table, B6 to C19. What column? Column 1. We talked about that. And false because I want an exact match. See? False, exact match. I want that. Close my parentheses, hit enter. Fridge does exist. Okay, but what happens if I take away these quotes? I get a problem, okay? Because it doesn't understand that this is a word, that these are a text string. So these quotes determine text string. So it's very important to understand that. Here's the other thing that I want to show you here. This you may know or you may not know. But when I create a dynamic formula, so let's do this one more time. Now this is the third time we've done this. What do I want to look up? Fridge. In what table? I want to look it up in this table. What column? I want column 1 and false because I want an exact match. Hit enter. So now I found fridge. But what you can see here is that I'm hitting F2 to get to this shortcut to look into the formula. If I drag this down, what's happening is everything is moving, okay? So this reference is not a locked reference cell. So how do I lock that reference cell? So one, this table doesn't keep going down. Do you see how this table is not picking it all up? That's a common mistake. Common mistake number 1 is that I do a VLOOKUP and then I drag it down and I don't have the same table. So what you need to do is lock the cells. And how to do that is you can come up here and you hit F4 or put dollar signs in front of it, okay? And then I'm gonna hit enter. So now those are locked, and I'm gonna lock cell E5, which is the search term I'm looking up. Hit lock there. Now if I copy and paste this down here, for example, all of it remains the same. Do you see this? The lookup value is still E5 and the table is still exactly the same. You'll find that to be very, very important when you're looking up more than one value. Okay, this is a very simple example. So locking the cells is very, very important if you need to do that. So I'm gonna hit delete here, and now I found fridge. But now I wanna find the cost of that item. Okay, I wanna see how much a fridge costs. Like, okay, so yes, this is 14 and it's very easy to do, but let's say this list was very long and I wasn't looking up prices, but something along with how much an employee was paid several months ago. So now I want to see that cost of this item. So it's a very simple list. I'll do Vlookup. What value do I want to look up? I want to look up fridge. I'm going to lock that cell. What table? I'm going to select this table. I'm going to lock that by hitting F4. It locks it all. Now what column do I want to pull? Well, here's my original list. Last time I pulled column 1, but I want to pull attribute A. This is what I call it, cost. Okay, so this is the cost of it. This is an attribute of the original list. I want to see how much a fridge costs. So what column I pulled last time was 1. Think about it. What column do I want to pull now? You're right. What you want to do is pull column 2. So I'm going to put column 2 here, and I want an exact match, so I put false, and I close my parentheses to close off my formula, and I hit enter. $1,000. So that fridge costs $1,000. I can format it up here, hit the $sign, so now it's $1,000. So with this dynamic formula, I can type in something else. This is the really cool part. Laptop, $14.99. How much is a desk? $224. How much is a bed? $332. How much is a cup? $4. And why does it change? Okay, so you may, son, why is the price changing so quickly? Well, it's looking up based on what I'm typing in here, y'all. And that's the best part. It's dynamic. It's looking to this and saying, what do I want to type? What do I want to look up? Versus if I went in here and I typed in cup. Okay, now I know how much a cup costs. Well, great. Now I want to see how much a desk costs. Now I got to go back into the formula and type in desk. See? And so that takes longer versus it referencing the cell. If I delete this and reference this cell again, then now I can just change this. How much does a washer cost? Boom, done. And that is the basics of a VLOOKUP. 1, so to recap, is it in the list? I can determine if it's in the list, and now I want to pull another attribute. But a lot of times you'll have a huge table with a ton of different attributes, and that's why the column number matters. It'll be column number 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, etc. Okay, so pulling that attribute's really, really great because it allows you to look up the item. Okay, so I'm looking up washer and then determine what's the attribute. Oh, it's the cost. How much is it? 505. Return that value for me. So that's how we're going to return the price of the item based on a VLOOKUP. So that's the end of the VLOOKUP.